Hi, and welcome to the Dinner Agenda. This is Bo.
And this is CeeLo.
Hello, CeeLo. How are you?
I was just about to say I'm in the basement. We're after dinner. My dog
Yeah.
just sat down, but she's been eyeing me like, "Hey, you ate dinner and now we walk."
Oh,
You
and
know
now
what
you
I'm
just
saying?
said the word. Now you
I
just
know.
said the word. Does
She's
she hear
still
you?
just laying at my feet. I'm clear.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, good. Good, good, good. Yeah. Yeah.
Good times, good
I know.
times. Um, Happy
Yeah.
Pride Month. It's
Happy Pride,
June.
CeeLo. Yeah.
Yay.
Happy Pride, CeeLo.
Shout out to the gays and all the
Yeah.
people all around the alphabet.
Around the alphabet. That's
One of
cute.
the ladies that I work with, she calls us the
Yeah.
alphabet people because like LGBT
Yeah.
2S LGBTQIA plus
Yeah.
starts to become a bit of a mouthful and we want to be
Yeah.
inclusive. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take it. I thought that was cute.
Yeah. I
Given
think it's
she's one
adorable.
of those letters, she's allowed to say shit like that, right?
Got it. Okay. But
Yeah.
if you're not one of those letters, you can't say shit like that. That's what you're
No, you
saying?
got to be specific. You got to enunciate each letter and make sure
Okay.
everyone is included, or else
Okay. Is that like offensive, like when somebody calls Italians Italians?
I call
Is it
you
like
Italian.
I
It takes way more to offend me, to be perfectly honest. It's more your actions.
got it.
You know what I'm saying?
I
And
do.
less about whether or not you remember all the letters, because the fact that you're
Mhm.
even trying making a stab at or remembering the letters, doing something for pride, being an awesome ally, whatever that looks like for you, that's what counts to me.
Yep. Agreed. Well
Yeah.
said. Well said, CeeLo. Well said.
Yeah. There's lots
Yeah.
of rainbow accessories in front of all of the workplaces downtown. I noticed the other
Yes.
day.
All the flags, the pride flags have been risen. They're all put out now. Yeah, it's great. It's
Yeah.
a and we're starting to see a lot of the celebration. I know that in Toronto they are dealing with a bit of a funding cut, I believe, at this point for Pride, for the Pride
Yeah.
Parade, which is unfortunate. But outside of that, it's celebration as usual.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Hmm.
think the funding cuts, I listened to a little bit of the Pride Toronto guy on the news last night, seemed to be stemming from companies that have reduced their DEI spending
Yeah.
and are not participating in the parade to the same extent. And yeah, so
So,
that's
CeeLo,
unfortunate. But
it is unfortunate, but I've got a question for you on that. So now I know that in the United States, there's a big push to um, not support diversity and equity and inclusion, like DEI,
yeah,
as much, right? But that is not how Canada stands. Like Canada is still quite supportive of it, right? So are these American companies that are operating in Canada? Do you know that are reducing their footprint? You think so?
yeah.
Okay,
I think
so
that
probably
that's where the
okay.
in Pride festivities, like the Toronto Pride, has been impacted by those companies, I suspect. But
Okay. Okay.
for the most part, I don't think we've seen as much change in Canada as we have seen in the US. And I think it's really telling the companies that now have an out that they don't need to support it or pulling support. Yeah, I won't be friggin' shopping there anymore. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Do you
You
happen
know?
to know the companies
I did
by
see a
chance?
list on the very
Okay.
reputable social medias of companies
Mhm.
that have changed their DEI policies since Trump
Mhm.
became president. And
Okay, I'll have to take a
yeah,
look. Mhm.
yeah, take note. I saw a couple that I follow on the Instagram. They posted a funny skit that they were like sitting in their car. It's these two women, and they've kind of got disguises on. And the post
Mhm.
was about the fact that they had to run into Target to pick up grandma's prescription, but they didn't
Mhm.
want to be seen as lesbians going into Target and supporting Target, which is one of the companies that has pulled back on their DEI. So they made a
That's
funny
really
skit
funny.
about it.
That's
But
cute.
yeah, it was
That's
cute.
cute. That's really cute.
Mhm.
Good. Good.
Mhm.
Okay, so, question for you.
Yes.
Um, have you watched that show that I recommended that you watch, Secrets That We Keep?
Secrets That We Keep, the one on Netflix. I
Yes.
am so close. I'm on the last episode. I got partway through the last
Ooh.
episode, and then,
Okay.
like, my son came home, and he's showing me, pictures of what he was doing down at the beach and blah, 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 and then I was just like, as it is, I was trying to stay awake to watch it. I was just too tired,
Mhm,
so that's on deck
mhm.
for later this evening.
Okay, but have you been enjoying it so far?
It is so good. It is
Right?
so
I
good.
told
I
you.
yeah, a
Yeah.
really good, and, I like the twisty-turny kind of psychological
Yes.
thriller, if you will.
Who do you
Um,
think okay, go on, finish, and then yeah.
well, no, I'm on the last episode, I know,
You're on got it, okay, got it. Up
okay?
until that point, though, so don't spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it yet and is going to, but up to that point,
I
did
was
you
always
guess
suspect.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
think
we
I
thought so
had
too. Okay,
like,
interesting.
they led you in one direction, and then they like,
Yeah, yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
could be another direction," and all the while you're ignoring
Yeah,
this kind of
yeah,
anyways,
yeah, yeah,
part of
okay,
the
good. I'm
show
glad you're
without
liking it.
doing yeah, it's really good. Anything like
Yeah,
that, a book like that, a show like that, love it. But part of the show, without giving anything away and doing any spoilers, there was a situation that came up where there were boys, like high school age, grade, I don't know, whatever age they are, that
mhm,
were
mhm,
sharing kind of sexy videos or pictures on their
mhm,
phones that
mhm,
they had taken while out and about or taken of people close to the family, let's say.
mhm,
And
mhm.
there was a parent meeting and an uproar and all of that. And I was like, I wonder how often that happens these days with kids getting caught. I mean, maybe, I mean, I think they're all probably doing it to some extent. They're not all
Mhm,
getting caught, but like the
mhm.
importance of telling your kids not to be taking pictures and videos like that and not sharing them with your friends because that's then some kind of distribution of pornographic material. I mean, that's what they were talking about in the show. And I'm like,
Yeah, wasn't that shocking? I would
yeah,
never have even thought about that, but if any of their friends were under the age of 16,
right.
they can be charged with, like, sexual assault,
Child porn.
essentially.
Yeah,
Child pornography,
totally.
that's it. Yeah, yeah, not sexual assault. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, child pornography. Can you fucking believe that? Like,
yeah, and it's
you don't
really
think about it because
scary.
yeah, yeah.
And you don't think about it because the kids, like, they have their phones, they've kinda grown up with a phone, they take fucking pictures of everything all the time. I know that there's been times where my daughter posted a pic of a friend hugging a tree or something totally innocent, fully clothed. But the friend was
Mhm.
like, "You put that on Instagram? Like, you didn't ask me first. I hate that picture." And there was a
Yeah.
whole little rift between them and just
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like our parents didn't have to navigate this bullshit, you
No.
know?
No. No. No, they didn't.
Pictures everywhere. I'm telling you, it's kind of crazy.
I hear you. Okay, I have another recommendation for you.
Okay, let's go. What do you got?
Okay,
I'm writing it
and
down.
you have to watch this because it is going to blow your fucking mind. So, it is W5. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's the news report show with Avery Hines. Kind of like a 2020 or a Dateline, right?
Yep,
Similar
I've
kind of
watched it.
concept.
Mhm.
Okay, so this particular episode is called Sleeping with the Enemy. CeeLo, you're going to recall, okay, in one of the episodes that we had recorded before, we talked, I think, a little bit about that man from France who had been drugging his wife and then allowing strange men to come in and rape her while she was unconscious. And he filmed. Did I know? Did we not talk about this? You're looking like we didn't talk about this.
I don't think we
Really?
talked about this.
I thought we did, but you know what? Hey, we're in our 50s and this is what
Yeah,
happens.
totally.
Let me refresh your memory. Okay, so about, I don't know, was it maybe 6 months ago? In France, there was this man who had been married to this woman for like, I don't know, 35, 40 years. Like they were like in their 60s now, 70s. I think they were in their 70s now at this point, right? Something along those lines. They've been
Mhm.
married forever, okay? And for like the last 25, 30 years or whatever it was, this motherfucker had been drugging his wife. He would slip like the date rape drug into
Yeah.
mashed potatoes. and he would make potatoes every night, or whatever, whenever he was going to do this, he would make these potatoes. And anyways, and so she would pass out, and then he was part of this group, online group, and he would basically post and say, essentially, who wants to take part tonight, right? Because she's going to be, whatever. So these strangers would show up, and they would have sex with his wife. He would film
Who
it.
would do
He
that
would
to their
watch.
wife?
CeeLo? Okay. So, anyways,
This is a
this
real
guy.
situation, this is not a movie.
Yes. No, it really fucking happened. It really happened. So anyways, the guy gets fucking caught, and he's going through trial or whatever. Anyways, it was such a fucking horrendous, like, it just made me want to fucking vomit just hearing it. And the fact that you've been married to this person for so long, right? And that they had been doing this to you. Okay, so that was that. Okay. Now, Avery Hines, who's the reporter in W5, she was working undercover, like, going onto these kind of forums, if you will, on the internet. And she was pretending to be a man who was a rapist or interested in raping, because this particular group that she had found is specifically geared towards rapists.
Mm.
Okay, so this whole big thing was these men were drugging their wives and girlfriends, raping them, filming it, and posting it online. One of the girls had been, she was young. She was just in the first couple of years of university. Like, she's 19 when she started dating this one guy. She had no idea. She thought he was a really, really nice guy. They had an amicable breakup. Nothing was really kind of, red flagish, if you will. Anyways, she found out years later, like years later, when she was about to get married, that apparently he had been, for the 2 years that they had been dating, he had been drugging her and raping her and torturing her, sexually torturing her, doing things to her, using objects on her, all that
Oh
kind of
my
stuff. And she was
god.
completely passed out. So wait now, okay? So the wife of this guy, so apparently he was this bodybuilder, and he was a personal trainer as well. He had a good reputation. When this guy was found out, and there's like a whole big ring, CeeLo. So you're gonna find out about, like, there's like a whole big ring, okay?
Yeah.
His wife at first was like, "You guys don't know, he's such a good guy, blah blah blah. He's such a great guy, blah blah."
Mm.
Honestly, our relationship is loving. It's, da da da. Anyways, and then the police were like, yeah, here's a video of you. So he had done it to her too, and she had no idea. And then, they found a whole bunch of other videos of his wife. So he had also been doing it to his wife. So now there's this guy, CeeLo, that's part of this ring, who lives in Hamilton, Ontario. And he was recently arrested for drugging women, his girlfriends, and other women as well. And he was a general contractor. So you could hire him to renovate, whatever. Yeah, I know. Anyways, he was just recently caught also partaking. There was, a lot of video of him. He was stupid enough, he didn't hide his face. And anyway, so the Hamilton police recently arrested him, so he's part of it too. It's a whole big ring, and it stems from it kind of reaches out. It's Ontario, it's Canada, it's the United States, it's Germany, it's like, it's
Mm.
everything. Episode. It's a 60-minute episode, but you are going to, like, with every minute that you're watching, you're like, no, what? No. Like, how could like, you're just flabbergasted. How could somebody do that to somebody?
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? You're going to also be shocked at how easy it is to get these drugs that make people pass out. How easy it is.
Oh,
Watch the fucking episode. It's insane. It's insane.
I've seen how easy it is for teenagers to order alcohol online and not
Yeah, but
be age checked, so I can only imagine what else is out there.
do you
Your
have a
mic
story?
sounds kind of funny.
What?
Your
Oh, my
your
mic sounds
audio
funny?
sound yeah.
Oh,
Is
why, I
it
wonder.
still is it
I
still
don't know.
working?
Well, can you
Mm.
hear me?
I can hear you, it just sounded a little echoey for a minute.
Oh, okay.
It's all
I
good.
don't know why, but
Okay, so now I'm gonna add that to my list. It's called Sleeping with the Enemy.
Sleeping with the Enemy, it's a W5 episode, and it is just so fucking disturbing, but you need to watch it. And it makes me think, like, what do like, I know this sounds awful, but Isabella popped into my head because I'm like, okay, look, how do we know that something like that's not going to happen to her? How do we prevent, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it really disturbs me. How do you, I don't know, man. Watch it. Just watch it. Give me your
It's
feedback on it.
it's shocking. It's shocking to me, and
Yeah,
I wanna watch it because I know I'll just be like the whole
I know.
time, like mouth open the whole time.
I know.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't wanna watch it because 'cause I'll be just mortified.
100%, 100% mortified. Honestly, you will be, but you have to watch it. You made me
Ugh.
watch that stupid fucking chimp movie or show, the Chimp Crazy. You're gonna watch this one. This one's really good, and it's only one episode.
Jim Crazy was good.
It was, but that woman was wackadoodle.
Yeah, totally wackadoodle.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah.
Wackadoodle. Okay, so, have
Mhm.
you opened your pool now that it's supposed to be 31 degrees tomorrow?
So, have we opened our pool? Funny that you ask. We literally just opened it today. So we actually had a bit of a pool fiasco over this winter spring season, if you will. So we had a lot of snow this year, CeeLo, like a lot of snow, more than normal. And the we pay a company to close and open our pool. Okay. So when we had the folks in to close the pool at the end of the season, about 3 weeks after they had come to close it, the cover that they put onto it, I could tell wasn't fully secured because it was starting to kind of droop a little bit, and I thought, oh, that's not good. So I kind of pulled it back and I put like a big brick on it to kind of hold it in place, and um, you know, kind of just did that. Well, anyways, then we get a shit ton of snow, right? Shit ton of snow. And the snow kind of caved in the entire liner. There was just too much. It was too heavy, so it caved in the entire the not the liner, but the cover. Okay, fine. Then we had some warmer days and colder days, warmer days and colder days, because climate change, it's a real thing, right? And I don't know if ice or what happened in there, but the liner that we have in the pool actually ripped.
Yeah.
Um, and so the liner rips, and now we're like, shit, we've got to sorry, hold on. Are you still having trouble with my audio?
Yeah, a tiny bit.
Are you?
It just sounds like a little bit background noisy. Oh, that sounds better. What did you do? Did you fix something?
I did absolutely nothing.
Oh. Well, whatever it is different now.
I literally clicked the arrow to see where it says Fi-Fine microphone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
Eh,
the.
okay, good.
Okay.
We
Anyways,
good and we good.
okay.
Mhm.
Technology, right? Anyways, so the liner had ripped, and so we had to order a new one. So, anyways, we go in April to the store and we talk to the people, and we're like, hey, look, we've got to order a new liner. Apparently, there's only one particular liner that our pool is compatible with,
Oh.
right? We have to special order it. And then we're
And it's the
dealing,
most expensive
of
one.
course, right? And then we're dealing with this new manager at the store,
Mm.
and she is not very responsive. So, long story short, CeeLo, she had booked us on three separate occasions to get this liner installed because it's a whole big process. They have to, rebalance and do all kinds of whatever. Anyways,
Yeah.
so uh, she had booked us three separate times, and each time the crew was a no show. Each time, and then we would reach out to her and we would say, what the what the shit, right? Like what's happening here? Oh, I'm really sorry, they were supposed to come, they got hung up on another job, blah 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 blah. And it's like, okay, but you need to tell us
Well,
this, right?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because having your customer call you at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to say, hey, no one has shown up yet, only to have you say, oh, I'm really sorry, they got, let's book you next week. Let's book you the week after. Let's book you, now we're in June and we normally open our pool in May, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, we were not pleased. It was not a very pleasant experience and process. They just came back to finish because it's a two part process. They have to install the liner, then it takes a couple of days to actually fill the pool.
Yeah.
And then they have to come back and they have to cut out, what they've got to cut out and, do whatever they have to do. So they just finished that today. So now we've just got to put some salt because it's brand new now again, right? So we don't have any residual salt water left and it's a saltwater pool. So now we've got to throw a whole bunch of bags of salt in there and get everything churning and working and then it'll be good.
So you could technically swim tomorrow when it's supposed to be
No,
hot as fuck out there.
no, because we haven't put this, no, not tomorrow. I know. No, no,
Well, you
no,
could,
no,
it's just tap water in there. You could still swim in it.
no.
Why does it need to be salty?
Okay, girl, I like it hot. I put the heater on in the pool. I'm not going to go swim in cold water. And right now, it's not churning. We need to get that salt in to get it churning because we
Mm.
have a saltwater thing. So it needs salt water
Sounds
to move
very
through.
complex.
Well, Dave typically deals with it, so I don't have to worry about it too much.
I like it's disappointing that it's opening late and that but the
Yes.
company, like the service that you're
Oh,
getting from this
brutal.
company, I hope you can go somewhere else next
Oh,
time.
yeah, we're going to for sure. That was a brutal experience. And you know what? This is not cheap. It's like $3,000 to replace this stupid liner.
Yeah.
And come on. You can give a customer a call here. We pay for opening and closing every year with this company. We bought the pool and the original install from this company. We are long-term customers here. It's like, what the
Yeah.
shit, you know? So
Yeah. You deserve better.
I agree. I agree.
100%.
Agree. So
Yes.
yes. So what's going on with you? Tell me.
Well, I thought this week we could talk a little bit more about some autoimmune issues
Let's do that. Let's talk about that. Because I know that
in
you suffer.
particular. Yes, I suffer.
You suffer.
I suffer.
So you have already you've already got psoriasis, which is an autoimmune issue,
Yes. And
right?
thyroid, which is
And
also
oh
auto.
right, that's right. Thyroid is autoimmune as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
I
I've got
never really
eczema.
connected. I never thought of it that way, but
No.
it is. It's on the
Um
list.
I have eczema, which I just recently found out as well as
Mm.
autoimmune.
Mm.
And I think Dave's Crohn's is autoimmune as well.
Crohn's is autoimmune, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, do you know what causes autoimmune issues?
No, nobody seems to know what causes it
Mhm.
medically, but that they know that it's more common in certain types of autoimmune diseases are more common in women versus men or in people of certain origins, like country of origins, etc. But there's nothing
Okay.
like I get that curing cancer is important, but if somebody could look into this as well, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, I bet. You know what? I don't blame. You've also got sarcoidosis as well, which is also autoimmune, right?
Yes, that's autoimmune. That I was diagnosed with back in like 99.
I
And
remember.
it was probably about almost a year that I was suffering with that.
Yep.
Maybe not quite that long, maybe more like 9 months. And
Mhm.
then it resolved and it's not come back, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't had any
Yeah. I
issues with that again. But
mhm.
in September, I was diagnosed with a new one
Okay.
called primary biliary cholangitis or PBC.
PBC. That's a mouthful.
I
Yeah.
know it totally is. Even when somebody asks me, like if I'm at the doctor or whatever, and I've got to say it, I'm like primary biliary, because I never really know how to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is this, CeeLo? What is this?
Well, the best site that I've found and now I use for so many different little lookups is the Cleveland Clinic. They've got a
Mhm.
great site for information. So, primary biliary cholangitis is a chronic and progressive condition that causes inflammation and eventually destruction of the bile ducts that run through your liver. And without working bile ducts, Bile backs up in your liver and causes liver damage, which can lead to cirrhosis of the liver. But medications can sometimes delay or prevent,
Mhm.
I guess, the degradation of the liver. But
Mhm.
it's autoimmune, it doesn't go away, and it gets worse over time.
Okay. So you've just recently been diagnosed with
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
and
September.
I mean, so I mean, I'm aware, obviously, you've shared that with me, and
Yeah.
how are you like, we'll get into a little bit more about,
Yeah.
treatment and that kind of stuff, but how are you feeling these days with the news? I know
Well,
when when it first happened, you seemed a
yeah.
little bit kind of like, "Yeah, yeah," but
When you read that you have something that is progressive with
Mhm.
no, you know what I mean? That I'm like, I'm gonna need like a liver transplant. And then I relate back to like episodes of Grey's Anatomy that I've watched where people are waiting for liver transplants. And I'm like, oh my God. And
Yeah,
so I think when I first got the diagnosis, I was definitely kind of scared
yeah,
and worried for my kid, worried
of
for my
course,
kids, worried for me, worried for Mel, and
of
what is
course.
all this going to mean, and what's my quality of life? Is my quality of life going to change? Because the crazy thing is, I have no symptoms.
So
I have zero symptoms.
how
Okay,
did
so
they
one of the primary early symptoms is
Mhm.
fatigue.
Mm.
So check, but I just kind of chalk that up to
We're all fatigued.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I am a probably a menopausal woman with
yeah,
2 kids who keep me
yeah,
busy, so hello fatigue.
yeah.
But, a little bit of the backstory, and I think maybe some lessons learned about making sure you advocate for yourself and question things as they come in, but I had, one of the primary, blood tests that they do is called the alkaline phosphatase, or ALP. And when I go back now and look at when that was first run, it was high in April of 2022. And I
Mm,
wasn't diagnosed until September of 2024.
right.
And so I think my family doctor might have run it again. Again, I had no symptoms. I was feeling fine. And then the next time I saw her, she's like, oh, your liver enzymes or something like that is a little high. I'm going to rerun that. And now it's like 6 months later or 8 months later, right? Without me coming in and complaining about something being wrong or whatever.
Mhm,
I don't think there was any follow up, not by me or not by her. Because
mhm.
when you look at your blood work, there's always a few that are on the high or abnormal side that,
Yep.
unless someone's explaining to you ones to look for, you don't necessarily.
Mhm.
But,
And
Mel just got
also
blood work done, had a couple abnormal ones, and immediately booked a follow up appointment with the doctor to say, let's talk about these. Which ones should I worry about? Which ones do I need to do something about? I didn't do
Mhm.
that, you
No,
know?
but CeeLo, can I just wanna mention something here. So, like, I get what you're saying about the advocating for yourself, and it's great that Mel is kind of, like, doing something like that where she notices the test results and calls, and but there's a shit ton of people who do not go online and look at their test results, right?
Yeah,
A lot of times you have to pay and subscribe, and people are like,
I
"Why
do.
am I going to do that? Because I'm getting these blood tests done for my doctor. That is my doctor's job. They should tell me if
Yeah.
there's something abnormal." I mean, I can
Mm.
tell you right now, Dave is one that does not look at his test results. He's like, if there's something abnormal, the
The
doctor
doctor
will
will
call.
call me. Yeah.
Yeah, but as it turns out, that's really not the case
It's
in some
not the
situations,
case.
right?
It's totally not the case, and unless you have some kind of symptoms that's preventing you from, living your life or affecting you in any kind of way, you're not gonna do that follow-up, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So,
yeah,
that's
I
kind of
do.
where
Yeah,
I fell.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyways, I would say late 2023, early 2024, sometime in around there, I had itchy shins, like crazy itchy shins. And they became like psoriasis, it's called like a plaque, like they almost become white, like a crusting that's over it. But I was
Mhm,
itching them so much. And I'd gone into the doctor and I'm like, I described it as a sweet itch. I think my mom used to say that, where, when you get an itchy spot and you itch it
Yeah.
and it just feels so good to itch it that you can't
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
That's kind
Even
of
though you're tearing your
where I
skin
was
apart,
at.
it's kind of like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I was kind of at with that. And so she was like, "Oh, that could be this or that could be that." And she gave me a couple different creams to try. I think she put me on antibiotics at some point. She gave me antihistamines and nothing was taking care of it.
Mhm.
Nothing was making it go away. In fact, I feel like it was getting worse. And it was also through the winter. So, my skin, I don't know about you, but hello, winter is itchy skin time.
Mhm.
Anyways, she eventually referred me to a dermatologist, and then, referrals take time. So this is all like time be
Yeah.
passing me by. And
Yeah.
he says, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's psoriasis." And I said,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay." And then he said, the medication that I should start you on is a pill form. He goes, "I would love to start you on this medication called Skyrizi, but we have to go through the protocol and start you with the pill instead,
Huh.
unless you have any trouble with your liver." And I'm like, Actually, my doctor has some blood work and said my liver enzymes were a bit funky, and we're kind of
Mhm.
trying to figure out what that is." And he was able to look at my blood work and he goes, "Oh, okay. This is actually good news for your psoriasis because we'll skip the pill and go straight to the Skyrizi."
What pill?
I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was something to do something for psoriasis.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Like
I've
it
actually
like
seen commercials for Skyzizi or whatever the fuck it's called.
Skyrizi.
Skyrizi.
Skyrizi. Yeah. It's an injectable pen I do every 3 months. I just
Really?
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, and it didn't take too long and the psoriasis started to
Mhm.
clear up, which is great.
Mhm.
And now, of
Mhm.
course, that's on the mend, so I'm happy about that. But then I made the appointment back with my family doctor and I told her about what the dermatologist said. And then I said, "He's suggesting that you run another blood test." And she goes, "Yeah, I think the same thing. I know what I'm going to run." And I said, "Okay." She goes, "Can't be PBC." And I'm like, "What?"
Well,
She
hold
goes,
on a
"Nothing."
second. Hold
Wait. She goes, "Nothing." I said, "No, what did you just say?" And she goes, "I don't want you Googling it. I don't want you looking anything up because we don't know anything yet. We're going to do another blood test to figure it out." And I'm like, "Yeah, but what did you just say?" And so she told me, and then I Googled it. And then I
Mm.
was like ready to start recording video messages to my children because I thought I was dying.
Oh, CeeLo. CeeLo. See, this is why she did not want
Right?
you to look it up.
Exactly, exactly.
But
Well, then
but
don't say it.
I have a question for you. I have a question for you. So
Yes.
so when you went to her and said, "Okay, the dermatologist who is dealing with your psoriasis suggested that you get your liver checked," right?
Yes.
And then she says to you, "Oh, yeah, yeah, we're gonna have let's run some tests or let's whatever." Now she had already had those test results. She already knew that something was wanky, and she did not send you at this point for yet another.
I think maybe that was the plan when I saw her again. I don't know. I don't know what was going through her mind. But again,
Wow.
advocate for
Yeah.
yourself, ask questions, and push, right?
Mm.
So the extra test that she did was called ANA, or anti-nuclear antibody. And this is a blood test used to screen for autoimmune diseases. And a
Mhm.
positive ANA result suggests the presence of an autoimmune disorder.
Okay.
And so with that coming back positive,
Mhm.
that's when I got referred to the liver clinic at Toronto General Hospital.
Okay.
That pretty much confirmed the diagnosis.
So how do they confirm it? What tests did they do?
The blood work and then the
Mhm.
positive autoimmune marker that they got was
Okay.
enough
Mhm.
to confirm it.
Really? I guess because 'cause they're specialists in that field, they know what they're
Mhm.
looking at then.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And I
mhm.
had it I think through there I'd also gotten an ultrasound or two,
Mhm.
at least one ultrasound of my internal organs, including my liver, to see if anything was up. I
Mhm.
think that if you have elevated liver enzymes. It could be like cirrhosis caused by other things. It could
Like
be
fatty liver.
yeah,
Yeah.
fatty liver or whatever.
Mhm.
And so that
Mhm.
ultrasound came back fine. And so when that came back fine, I feel like that didn't push her to continue to investigate what it could be. And then the psoriasis kind of tipped everything in that direction of, I guess, her figuring it out. But
Okay, so wow, that's like shocking and
right.
scary and
Yes.
not pleasant. So now what happens and what are your options and what does the future hold? Like what information do you have about
Hmm.
because you said you can't cure this,
Can't
but
cure it.
you can treat it to try to either
Yes.
delay or prevent, right?
You got it. And so my first appointment with the liver doc was in September of 2024.
Mhm.
And basically, she's saying you want to make some lifestyle changes to give your liver the best chance, right? So that means diet, that
Mhm.
means alcohol
Mhm.
or lack thereof in
Mhm.
particular. That
Mhm.
means now I have to take a medication every day that helps my bile ducts be good bile ducts, I guess. I don't know what it does.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, so that's where we're at. And then I have to get blood work every 3 months. And I go to see her every 6 months.
Mhm.
And at my last visit, she was quite happy with the progress because some of the levels had come down a little bit. More on that
Mhm.
in a second. But she
Mhm.
essentially said that we see the best we'll get on the medication at about the year mark. So
Okay.
wherever I am at the year,
Mhm.
hopefully I maintain that for as long as possible, and then
Okay.
they're coming up with new drugs and stuff like that all the time of things people can try to
Mhm.
avoid I guess it progressing too fast or too
Mhm. Mhm.
badly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're doing all of this, and we'll also talk a little bit more about some of the other things that you're doing, like diet and
Mhm.
just like health wise. But um, if this medicate, like if you're able to kind of keep things stable, right, at
Mhm.
the levels that they're at right now, does the specialist believe that you can kind of just continue on this way, or is it inevitable that you will have to have a liver transplant at some point in time?
I think like it could be possible. It
Hmm.
could be that the medication does its job for a long time.
Okay.
You know how doctors aren't great at predicting things?
Hmm.
It is
Yeah.
chronic and it's
Yes.
progressive. So you hope that whatever drugs they're giving you can make that positive impact
Yeah.
and delay whatever that
Hmm.
chronic and progressive thing is. So,
Did you ever ask them, CeeLo, the percentage of people who are able to um, kind of maintain the liver health to the point where they just do not need a liver transplant for their lives? Like, do you know that if do you know what I'm asking? Like, do you understand what I'm asking you? Like, what's the percentage of people who have this, who are using medication, changing their diet and lifestyle, still require, like, what percentage still requires a liver transplant? Like,
I'm
is
adding that to my list of
yeah.
questions. I never asked her that.
Yeah, but okay, so ask her because I'm curious to know. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know what odds you're fighting against.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to change how you're fighting it, but it's good to prepare, and just
Yeah,
understand.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I
Hmm.
think it kind of sparks something in me that's like, you only get one trip around the sun type of thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you want to make the most of it, you have to maybe change some things up and do things a little healthier and
Hmm.
you know what I mean? So
Hmm. Hmm.
it does make you think when you're faced with something like that. Like
It does.
I don't want to have a liver transplant.
No, I
I
know.
want to try and
I know.
maintain this as long as I can. It was so
Yeah.
cute. Mel's like, "Is it like a kidney? Can I give you some of my liver?" And I'm like, "I don't think
Oh,
it works like
sweetheart.
that."
Yeah.
Yeah. No such a luck. But
Mhm.
When we talked all about it in our very first appointment, I was like, I said to myself in that moment, like, I don't need to drink. Like, I'm just going to stop drinking. So I cut out
Mhm.
alcohol right away.
Which can I
Um,
just say was a big thing, right? Like, I mean,
it
you
was a big
enjoyed
thing.
your beverages and you were at the
Oh,
cottage and that yeah, exactly. And
yeah.
so that I mean, that was a big deal for sure. And you just
Yes.
stopped.
And I just stopped.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. And after the work day that I had, I'm really regretting it right now. No. There's certain times, like I think, when something first happens, you're very steadfast in it and you're like, I'm not going to do it. I'm totally good.
Mhm.
And then, like, maybe a work social comes up or a family event comes up, Christmas, New Year's. We went away on a holiday for an all inclusive week, no
Mhm.
drinky,
Yeah.
like all of these
Yeah.
things that were traditional.
Mhm.
Um, and just the random Wednesday of a bad day, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I didn't necessarily find it hard to decide or hard to stop. I just found there were certain times where I was like, oh, feeling sorry for myself that
Of course.
that I cut
Because
it
that was
out,
an
right?
enjoyment. It's something
Yeah,
that you enjoyed, you know? It
yeah,
was a yeah, I understand that for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
total.
Yeah.
And then some of the other changes that I've made, to be honest, when you look into it, she had mentioned, Mediterranean diet, kind of clean eating,
Yeah.
is really good. Is really good. And you look at things that are bad for your liver and things that are good for your liver. Like, I've done all the Google searching, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And that's part of my obsession with that Yuka app that I use to, like, scan everything, is I'm looking for additives in food. I'm
Mm.
not looking for, is this too caloric or it's got too much sugar or it's
Mhm.
high in sodium, although that's not great either. I'm looking for specifically for additives that will make it harder for my liver to process whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Okay, so that's actually an interesting thing that you just brought up. Okay, so the doctor's suggesting a Mediterranean diet. Okay, great. But when you talked about the additives, are you saying that the additives that get put into processed food or ultra processed food is actually having to be worked on through your liver?
Yes, your liver's job is
Oh,
to filter out toxins. So if you're eating something that's not considered a
ah.
food, then it's a toxin, is how I'm viewing it anyway.
Isn't that interesting? So that's why they're saying if you eat clean, your liver has less work to do, so it's functioning more
Yeah.
optimally.
Yeah.
If that's even a word, optimally? Yeah.
Optimally.
Yeah.
Optimally.
In the beginning, in the beginning. Have you seen that thing on Facebook, that guy trying to say in the beginning? He's
No.
like, we
In the
digress.
beginning. The
In the beginning, in
beginning.
the beginning, in the beginning.
In the optimal beginning. Yeah,
Yes.
so I did that,
Okay.
and
Mhm.
then I know that losing some weight is gonna be helpful, right?
Okay, because that takes away some of the fatty liver, which is
Yeah.
also damaging it can
Yeah,
be
like, if I
damaging.
continue on the route that I was on, it's not gonna be good for my liver, so
Mhm, mhm.
I cut out my very regular chocolate croissant or bread product
I
for
know,
breakfast and
I
swapped
know.
it with something healthy, usually, like yogurt and nuts and berries and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
I cut back on I typically buy lunch at work and was
Mhm,
buying whatever I felt for that day, even
mhm.
if it was just an egg salad Sammy, which is one of my faves. I
My faves
mostly
too. One of
I
my mhm.
know, right? I do love
Yeah,
egg salad.
yeah.
Now if I were making it at home and making it with a wrap or something like that that I had scanned, or I don't know.
Mhm, mhm,
I'm mostly eating salads and protein for lunch.
mhm. 'Kay.
Um, and not every day is a perfect day
Mhm,
by any stretch. And
mhm,
then my dinners are mostly healthy. Like, Mel cooks a ton.
mhm,
She's house chef,
mhm,
and she knew that I had to cut back, so I cut back on red meat, high in saturated fat, not great for you. So we've
mhm,
cut back on that quite a bit. she generally makes, good healthy meals. We're eating more veggies probably.
Mhm.
And then I would say the other big change that I did was once I eat dinner, I'm done. No
Mm,
snacking, no nothing
'kay.
after. That
Even if
is
you're
the
hungry,
odd,
hungry?
even if I'm hungry. I s By the
Not
time,
even
like, I eat
fruit
dinner
or
and then I go to bed at 10.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
maybe at 9, I'm like, yeah, for sure, I'm a little snacky. I could use some chips or popcorn or,
What about a
I'm not.
fruit? What about fruit?
Yeah, if I can do a fruit. Like, if I'm
Mhm.
starving, I'm gonna eat something. But for the most
Mhm.
part, I don't eat anything until breakfast the next day.
Mhm, mhm. So,
Um,
let me ask you, Silo, so you said you're cutting back on red meat. What
mhm.
meats are good? Chicken, obviously, is probably a good one, and
Yeah,
turkey.
lean white meat,
But
yeah.
what about pork? Is
Pork.
that pork is
The other
good too?
white meat, yeah, the
The other
other
white
white
meat,
meat.
okay.
It's not
So chicken.
it's the saturated fats in the red meat is
So
what I'm trying to stay away from.
what about filet mignon that's not very fatty?
I know, right?
Is
I
that
do
still
love
on
a
like
filet mignon. We still have steaks once in a blue
You
moon,
no,
just
but are they
not as
better? Do
often.
you know? Do you know if
Oh,
they're
I see. I don't
Yeah.
know. I know they're not as fatty, but I still think that
Mhm.
red meat in general is higher in
Okay,
saturated fat, so
okay, and
I
you
don't know.
hate beans, so you're not gonna be
Not hu I don't
you're
you and Mel all the time, you hate beans. Beans are
you
good for
do.
you. I hate
No.
red kidney beans.
You're not a huge
That's
fan of
what I
beans.
hate.
Okay, red kidney beans, sure.
Thank you.
Mhm, sure.
Other beans I eat.
Listeners,
I
she
eat
hates all
lentils.
beans. Yep, you're a
I
lentil. Yep.
mostly love all veggies.
Yes, you do. Yep, yep, yep.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So are you
I
adding some of that in now to
I
your
think,
diet
yeah,
as well?
extra veggies or making sure we're having, veggies with stuff that, yeah, I swapped out like like we have burgers. Mel loves burgers. Kids love
Mhm.
burgers. Um, and I'll eat a veggie burger. And then Mel actually bought really good turkey burgers at Farm Boy.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had those a couple
So
times.
let me ask you though, my understanding is that the veggie burgers that you buy in the grocery store are filled with additives.
I
Is
know.
that
I
true?
think I bought the box before I had the app to scan.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, CeeLo, you might
I'll have
wanna
to scan next time.
yeah, you may wanna stay away from veggie burger just 'cause I get that they're veggies, so people think that they're healthier. I've
Yes.
heard though that they are
Some of them are just processed shit in there,
ultra processed.
total.
Yeah, you would be much better having Mel make a turkey burger, like using chicken instead of
Oh, yeah.
the ground beef, okay?
Yeah.
And then just having a burger that way instead of doing the
Yep.
veggie burger. Yeah, yeah.
Mel does the homemade burgers, they're awesome. They're probably my
Mm,
favorite, to be honest with you.
good, good.
But yeah, I am trying to scan anything that has a barcode,
Yeah,
right? That's not an ingredient. I'm trying to scan just to be like, "Oh,"
yeah,
like our favorite brioche buns that we used to buy for burgers. And I'm like, "Oh man, it's got additives and shit in it." So I'm trying to find like
yeah.
options and alternates and
So
all that shit.
bread, I'm sure, is a difficult one, right? Because that's always
Mhm.
gonna be a processed item. And then you get the Ezekiel breads, which are really, really good for you, but they're not really tasty when it comes to putting them on a burger, you know?
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
is Mel a baker? Can she bake bread or
No, she doesn't really make bread, no, but
Mhm,
I don't eat that much of it. Like I said, I'm not
mhm,
so restrictive. Like,
mhm.
what did I send you a picture of? I went to that bakery and bought myself a pistachio croissant
You
that
did,
time.
you
Like,
did.
come on.
You
I'm
did.
not dead for
Yeah.
fuck's sakes. I
I
gotta
know,
have
I know,
some
I know.
joy. If I
Mhm,
can't
mhm.
drink, I should at least get a pistachio croissant every once in a
I
while.
agree with you. I agree with you.
But yeah, so just trying to be careful and watch and since September, I've lost
Mhm.
about 45 pounds,
Isn't that amazing, CeeLo? That's
right?
amazing. And you
But I
must
do
feel
notice, like,
better. Yeah.
I see all the wrinkles in my face more now, which kinda sucks, but
I know, because
yeah.
it's like you lose some of the fat from the face, right? And the
Yeah.
muscle as well. From what I understand, it's the muscle loss in the face that causes
Oh,
the the wrinkles to, yeah,
So I
exactly,
should do
to
like face exercises, basically.
maybe. But, either way,
Yeah.
you still look great. You do. You look great.
Well, thank you
And
for
you've
that.
been
I appreciate it.
listen, and you've been doing it in a very healthy way, a very responsible way, and it's good to see, you know? It's just
Mhm.
it's motivating to see you kind of go through that process, if you will.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
Mel made a comment the other day and she was like, "Oh, who knew it took like a horrible diagnosis to make this kind
Yeah.
of change kind of thing or that it
Yeah.
should take that to make
It
this kind of change?"
always
And I'm like,
it always does.
it's a bit of a wake-up call, and when you're faced
Yeah.
with it, you have the choice to make. Like, there's lots of people who are diagnosed with things that don't decide to change, and I was just like, "That can't be me. I've
Mhm.
gotta." It's
You've
the
got
only
kids.
thing I can
Mhm.
control about it, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Is what I do, and so
Mhm.
I'm just taking all the things I can do and
Mhm.
trying, yeah,
Yeah. No, good for
trying
you,
to make a
Silo.
difference.
No, good for you. Good for you. Good for
One
you.
kind of interesting side note,
Mhm.
given all my knee situation, is
Yes,
that
yes.
you can develop something called psoriatic arthritis that causes inflammation in the joints and pain and stiffness and swelling.
Wait, is that
And this
part of this issue, this disease?
right? Well, the knee doctor said to me, "No,
Oh.
that's like the psoriasis and my shins that I had." And she said, if what's going on in it, it's not the same, you could get psoriatic arthritis if you've had psoriasis, but she
Mhm.
goes, that's not what's happening with your knee because you're taking the Skyrizi and it's not doing anything for your knee. So we know it's not that.
Okay.
But I was just like, who knew there was psoriatic arthritis?
That's
It
interesting.
says
So
it
she
can
does not
affect,
think that.
no, she says it's not
Okay. Okay.
because the Skyrizi would have made
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
a difference. It says it can affect any joint in the body, but
Mhm.
often impacts fingers, toes, knees, shoulders, back, or pelvis.
Mhm.
I'm not really leaving much there.
Mhm.
And again, it's an immune system situation where the immune
Mhm.
system attacks the healthy cells. So
Jeez.
learn something
Unbelievably.
new every day.
Well, Silo, I appreciate you, kind of being open about this and sharing this information because I know
Mhm.
it's not easy for you. It's, a serious thing. And I get, yeah, it's a wake up call. I think a lot of people go through that where it's like there's this element of feeling invincible, and it's not
Yeah,
until you get that little fear. And that scare is quite the big motivator. It's a very,
totally.
and so be it. Now that you have that information, what you do with that information is what's important.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad that you're choosing to try to do something, to make a difference. And so far, it looks like you are making a difference, which is really
Yeah.
nice to know. And
One of the first
makes me
things she
happy.
said, like she weighed me and she's like, "Oh, you've been
Yeah,
working hard," kind of thing.
yeah,
And I was like, yeah, I totally have, like,
yeah.
and it's less, I mean, the weight was part of it, but to me, it
Hmm.
was less about trying to control something I couldn't control, right?
Yeah,
These are the small things that I can do, and I've
yeah.
talked about that book, Atomic Habits, that I read
Yes,
over the Christmas holidays that I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, it's not about one big change. I don't consider myself on a diet. I still have my pistachio croissant once in a while. I just have a lot fucking less of them. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
and so the first thing she asked me when I saw her, she was like, "Are the changes you've made sustainable?" That's what she
Mhm.
wanted to know. And I said,
Yeah,
"Absolutely."
yeah,
So, you just got to take back some of that control and put it in your own hands, I
yeah,
guess.
yep,
But
yep.
the other thing I've learned about having a podcast is you can't be a private person and be on a podcast.
Yeah, well, that is the truth, right? I mean,
Yeah, you gotta come
100%.
out with it sometimes because, I mean,
Yep.
we did this to tell some stories and to talk about stuff
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
hopefully there's somebody out there listening that's like, "Oh my god, I can relate," or
yep.
"Holy shit, you've managed this news in a way that I don't think I could," and,
Mhm,
I don't know,
mhm.
something. Something got to
Something,
come of it.
exactly.
Something.
Everything I do believe everything does happen for a reason, and so there is probably going to be someone at some point in time who is going to relate to this and hear this and say, "Oh," and even if it's not that they may be going through, the same thing as you, and but the fact that maybe they hear this and it prompts them to say, "I'm going to follow up with my doctor on that other
Right?
blood test that," you know what I mean,
Yeah.
wasn't looking so great, and nobody said anything about. So,
Yeah.
it can be anything, CeeLo, but there's a reason for everything, and I'm just glad that you shared, and I'm glad that
Yeah.
you're making the changes.
Yeah.
Um, you're gonna do well. I know you're gonna do well.
Aw, thanks, Bo.
Oh, sweetheart, you're gonna do good. Well,
Yeah,
thank
man.
you. Hey,
Absolutely. It was a good chat today.
it was definitely a good chat. Great information, CeeLo, and we'll definitely touch on this again with another update when you have one. Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Talk to you
Talk
soon.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for taking a seat at the table today. We love our dinner guests.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow The Dinner Agenda on the podcast platform you use so that you don't miss any new episodes. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Dinner Agenda.
We look forward to hearing your comments, questions, and even ideas you may have on future episodes.
Thanks for taking this journey with us.